And the Razzie goes to Mommie Dearest.
1981.
I had to say right off the bat, I didn't think this movie deserved a Razzie.
No, I think it's pretty undeserved of that title.
I actually watched this movie in high school for the first time in a film class as an example of a good old movie.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so even my high school film teacher agreed.
I think it's probably one of the more widely seen winners of this award, too, because I think it's definitely a cult classic.
Mm-hmm.
People watched it, to have fun with it. It is a little campy. When people were seeing it in theaters, people would shout at the screen. It had like a little bit of a Rocky Horror vibe.
So about that, which I'm sure I'll repeat this a million times throughout this podcast recording. Yes, the performance is extremely over the top, but she's playing a crazy actress who's over dramatic. So she's doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing for the role, I think.
Yeah, and if you watch Joan Crawford in anything, that is how she sounded. That is like how she would behave. So she's doing what a lot of people get Oscars for, which is imitating your biopic subject.
Mm-hmm.
And this was supposed to be like an Oscar contender kind of a film. That's what they wanted it to be.
Yeah, well, give us some background.
Yeah, well, so this is based on a tell-all book.
Mm-hmm.
Some say it might be the first tell-all book. Tell-all kind of started.
Before that, people were only telling a little bit.
Just a tiny bit. Tell a tiny bit book.
Yeah, and Christina Crawford?
Yeah,
is
Christina
that her
Crawford.
real name? Okay.
Yeah, she writes a tell-all book like a year after her mother dies.
Mm-hmm.
Joan Crawford.
The wounds are fresh.
The wounds are fresh. Oscar-winning actress from the 40s and 50s and 60s. Basically telling about the abuse she suffered as a child.
Yes. So with that, unless there's any more background, I'll get into the recap.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So we open on Joan Crawford, movie star, doing what at the time was a cuckoo crazy skincare morning routine.
Yeah.
But nowadays is actually a quite mild one.
I footnoted this. I'm like, I might take this morning routine, the ice routine.
So she's sleeping in some sort of head wrap.
Yeah, right.
Nowadays, people are not only wrapping up their faces, they're taping their mouths closed.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah. People are taping their foreheads down. They say it reduces forehead wrinkles, and they're taping their mouths shut because they say it's better to breathe through your nose. As someone with a chronic congestion problem, I cannot do that.
No,
I can't participate in that trend. I might die.
That's dangerous.
Dangerous, for sure. And I also just refuse to sleep with other tape on my face. It seems uncomfortable.
Yeah. So this seems like a safer routine.
Right,
nighttime
for sure.
routine.
So, yeah, she unwraps her face. She scrubs in the sink, and then she throws ice water on her face.
Love that.
Seems fun. She's like, ugh.
Because everybody says take an ice shower in the morning. But I was like, this is like a life hack. Instead of doing an ice shower, just get a bowl of ice.
Just get a bowl of ice and stick your hands in it and put it on your face.
Yeah. Thanks, Joan Crawford.
Yeah, you don't have to commit to the whole shower.
No.
So then she goes to set. She gets all made up to presumably do something that we don't see. And then she comes home. Her man comes over.
Yes.
And she's like, take off your shoes, which I think is supposed to be like she's crazy germaphobe. But now, normal thing to do. Take off your shoes when you enter someone's home.
Most people do that.
There's
also that part where she takes the potted plant to the side.
Yeah,
and
that
there's a little dirt
later
there. And she said, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the dirt.
She
was yelling at the staff
at
she
her
has at
housekeeper.
The house. Yeah.
Yes. So her man comes over. They have shower sex. And I was like, this makes sense for a germaphobe. I never thought about that.
I didn't think about
how
that either. Yeah.
Germaphobes get freaky. I thought she was going to be like, we have to each shower first and then we're going to do it. But she's like, no, let's do it in the shower.
Interesting. She didn't want to do it on the bed.
No, make a mess.
Yeah. The bed's already made. Everything has to be pristine.
I was thinking it's a shame that she got so made up and then she's in the shower.
Yeah.
And it's still light outside. I was like, how long did we have the makeup on for? Not long.
Not that long.
Not that long.
No.
So then a little later, they're walking on the beach and she's like, honey, I want a child. And he's
the
like,
one thing missing.
that's the one thing missing in my life. And he goes, you're too vain to have a pregnancy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And she goes, I tried 4 times and I miscarried. And he's like, oh, my bad. Well,
that stunned him.
He was like, not expecting that. That's never come up before.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no one will let you adopt. But she goes to the adoption agency and they're like, no, you're single. You're an actress. You're never around. You can't have a kid. So she's upset about this.
She screams at the adoption person.
How dare you deny a child my loving home?
That's a good way to tell them you're stable.
Yes.
By just throwing papers in their face.
Throwing a fit.
Yeah.
But her husband, who's super powerful movie guy, is able to pull some strings and get her a baby.
Is he a lawyer or he's like a Hollywood lawyer? Or?
His job was unclear to me.
Yeah, just powerful Hollywood guy.
I know, powerful guy.
Yeah, powerful guy.
Can pull strings. He can get a kid at your house pronto.
By noon the next day. Yeah. The baby comes in.
Order a kid through this guy.
Yeah, and then he disappears.
Well, he doesn't disappear quite yet. He's like, who's going to be the baby's dad? As if he's not the main contender.
Right.
But I guess he's not into that, so they call him uncle, whatever.
Yes.
He's hanging out. We cut to a bit later. It's Christina's birthday. Now, when we first met Kid Christina, I have to admit, I thought she was a bad actress. Because she comes up like, oh, Mommie Dearest, this is the best birthday I've ever had.
Yeah.
But in the context of the whole movie, her initial performance makes sense to me because I think that Joan Crawford's character is really forcing her kid to behave in this like extreme, oh, I'm a perfect little girl way. Mm-hmm. She's like forcing her into this little box, and their whole life is kind of this performance that she's putting on for the fans. So at Christina's birthday, she invites all these press photographers to come and cover the event as if it's like some other Hollywood event and not a kid's birthday party. And she even like poses Christina opening the presents. She's doing it very much for the camera, which I think at the time was probably a new thing because we didn't have all these mom influencers and stuff.
Right.
That people probably weren't talking about like being a family in like such a presentational way.
So that's an early version of that.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like that. And she makes her give all the presents back except for one.
Her favorite one.
Her favorite one, which is a doll.
Yeah. The rest go to needy kids.
Yeah. The guy brings another kid.
Right.
He's like, I got you another baby.
He's like, look,
and she's like, I'll name him Christopher.
Yeah. Oh,
so we got Christina and Christopher.
Interesting. I didn't even put that together. Yeah.
Christopher, not around much for this movie.
No.
The only thing that we really know about Christopher is for some reason at night, she buckles him to the bed.
Yeah.
We don't know why.
Yeah, I'm not sure why either. Yeah.
Because he doesn't appear to have behavioral issues or that he's going to hurt himself or anything.
And he has control over the harness. Like he can unattach himself and attach himself back in.
Yeah, he's like he gets in bed and buckles himself up.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll take that too.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. At the end of the night, just buckle myself in for bed.
Maybe he's a sleepwalker.
That could be it. I'm always afraid of falling off the bed.
I fell off a top bunk once when I was a kid. I just rolled over.
Scary.
Yeah, I was okay though.
So now she's got 2 kids.
So now she's got 2 kids, and we see that she's escalating in her demands of Christine. And she's having these outbursts if Christine does anything that she perceives as like stepping out of line just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like at one point, she walks into her room and Christine is sitting at her boudoir.
Right.
Pretending to be her
Yes.
in a way that a little kid would pretend to be an adult.
Standard kid stuff.
She's not making fun of her. She's just being a normal like little kid having an imagination where she's like, oh, thank you, fans. Thank you.
Most would feel complimented.
Most would feel complimented. Joan Crawford runs in. She freaks out. She's like, you're mocking me.
Yeah.
Grabs scissors, viciously like cuts this little girl's hair off.
Yeah.
And screams. The girl's screaming. She's screaming. The girl's like, no, She's like, no. They fall into like a puddle on the ground. There's another instance where she tries to get Christine to eat a steak that's basically raw.
Yeah.
She says it's rare, but it's pretty much raw.
Yeah, that carries on throughout the whole film. She likes raw steaks.
She won't eat it. So she does the classic, like, you got to sit at the dinner table to eat the steak thing.
Right.
But I'm thinking it does not look safe to eat that steak.
No.
She eventually makes her go to bed without food. She puts it in the fridge and tries to serve it to her for breakfast. She still doesn't eat it. There's an instance where she's got a new man over.
New uncle.
A new uncle.
Yeah.
Oh, well, first, before that happens, she has a big breakup with the original guy. Uncle Greg is who they were calling him.
Yes, yeah.
He takes her to this like restaurant, and there's these like high level producers who are like, come sit at our table. And she's like, no, we have our own table. And they're like, sit at our table. So she feels humiliated that they have to sit there. And she feels like Greg kind of forced her into kissing the studio ring or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
When she comes back home with him, she's screaming at him. She's like, how could you humiliate me like that in a restaurant? And he's like, you're crazy. Then they go back and forth for a bit. He overreacts.
Yeah, he overreacts.
Way
he
too
does.
much.
Yeah.
He grabs her and he's like shaking her, shaking her in a pretty scary way.
Yeah.
And then finally he's like, I'm out. And she uses like kind of the last of her resources to beg. She gets in the bed and is like, but what if we do it? And he's like,
right. I forgot.
He's like,
yeah.
No.
He said no.
No.
And she said, come on.
And she's like, please. And he's like, no.
This goes on for a little
This goes on for
like 30 seconds.
Quite a long time.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say, which we can talk about more later when we get to the section of how we'd fix this movie, is I think it's just too long.
It is a little, it's a little
It's like
too
a little
long.
over 2 hours long.
Yeah, and it feels like a TV movie of the week. Like the production of it, it feels like it should be hour 40, something like that. 2 hour TV movie.
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah.
These scenes really do drag on for quite a bit of
They
time.
go on a bit, yeah.
So she is like always being super intense about her career and auditions and screaming at people when she's getting ready for auditions. And then she meets a new quote unquote uncle who's coming over to do the deed. And so Christina, when a new gentleman caller comes in, her thing is like she's supposed to make him drinks.
Oh, right. She's the
So
bartender.
She's the bartender.
Yeah.
She stirs him the whiskey.
He's like, not so much.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've done this before.
Yeah, she's like, I know what my uncles need.
Yeah, I know how
They
to make
need
a
to be
drink.
real drunk for mommy.
And then she's like bringing drinks to the room.
Yeah, so apparently there's a miscommunication.
Yeah.
Christina thinks, I'm the bartender for the evening.
Right.
But Joan and this new gentleman start hooking up on the couch after Christine leaves. And when she comes back with another drink and interrupts them, Joan's like, I cannot have this, ruining my nasty time. So she brings her to a boarding school.
Yes. Oh, wait. So this happens after the wire hangers.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I skipped the most iconic scene of all.
Or even before that, there's the scene with the rose garden. After she gets let go from MGM. She gets let go from MGM.
Part of this movie that makes it difficult to summarize is it's not like a typical plot flow.
There's
It's
no
almost
plot.
like a series of vignettes.
It's things that happen over and over again. There's no story. But yeah, there is one part where she gets fired from MGM. Her response to that is like snipping all the roses.
And she does this in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And she calls her kids to wake up and
help.
come down and like help her destroy this huge rose garden that they have for no particular reason.
And then she goes, get the axe. And Christina has to give her an axe, and she chops down a fruit tree.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Neither does Christina, I don't think.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
kind of out of the blue.
Then we have the iconic scene.
Yes.
Christina's in bed, and Joan comes in, and she decides to just like go through her closet, do a little audit. She notices that one of the dresses is on a wire hanger instead of a cloth hanger. and this is not allowed.
Not allowed.
Not allowed and not tolerated at all.
Strict rule.
So she has a truly epic nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
That ends in like the classic line, "No more wire hangers," where she throws all of Christina's shit on the ground. She beats her with the wire hanger. She runs into the bathroom and throws powder soap all over the bathroom to the point where she's like completely covered in it.
She tells her to clean the floor. And the kid was good in this scene because the kid's looking at the floor and goes, "Floor's clean."
Yes.
Floor's clean.
Yeah, see, this is why I liked the kid's performance is because I feel like in the beginning what she was doing is she was, at first I didn't like it because I thought she was trying to act like polite kid. But I think what was actually happening is she was trying to act like the crazy heightened version of a polite kid that her crazy mother wanted.
Yes.
And then we see the mask drop in certain scenes, like in this one. And at the end, when her mom leaves and there's just shit everywhere that she has to clean up, she just goes, "Jesus Christ."
It was so good.
I thought that was such a good line read.
That was great.
I was like, she does seem like a little kid who's just like, fuck my life.
Yeah.
Like, where my
What
mom's
is happening?
crazy. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to clean this, and I don't know if she's still going to be mad.
Yeah, what is happening with
What's
my life
happening?
right now?
Yeah.
And this is, she does that after she wins the Oscar. So it's like she's having these meltdowns, whether it's good things happening or bad things happening.
Yes.
So there's no rhyme or reason, which is what Christine actually says in real life. There was no rhyme or reason for anything. It could happen at any moment.
Which is true of people who have certain psychiatric conditions.
Totally. So then she's taken to that boarding school.
Yeah, so then Christine gets dropped off at the boarding school. We do a time jump to where she's been at the boarding school for a while. And she goes out to get lunch with her mom one weekend. It's not going super well. There's a lot of tension between them. Christine is starting to get into acting. She's playing Antigone.
Yeah.
This guy is really into her. He's like, "Hey, I really like your performance. I want to hang out with you sometime." Another girl's jealous.
Oh, right.
And she's like, "Hey, I don't like that. You want to do that."
Right.
But this guy's really into Christina. So Christina eventually agrees to go on a date with him. They end up hooking up. It's going well, but the girl who is jealous somehow like finds out. She's mad. So she tells the school.
Right.
And the school is like, naughty stuff is not okay here. We're going to put you on probation. And because of that, they call the mom in, Joan. Instead of being like, okay, she's like, "It seems like you cannot handle students here, so I'm taking her out." She makes Christina go live in a convent that we don't see a lot of, but it seems like a very unpleasant place. They basically say nothing nice happens here. We're all just working and praying all day.
Yeah. And now this is the adult actress playing Christina.
Yeah, we've switched actresses.
This is the start of the second hour almost, right? It feels like the first hour is like all the kid stuff. And then there's a lot of time spent with the adult stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Joan is like having financial difficulties.
Oh, right.
Because she hasn't worked in a while. So she finds this rich guy who works at Pepsi.
Nice.
To marry her.
Soda guy.
They're living it up again. Christine gets out of the convent and goes to visit them, and she's like, "I'm really struggling this month. Could I just have a little bit to tide me over?" Joan's like, "No, it's better if you do everything yourself." Soda Man feels bad for her and slips her some money on the side.
Oh, right.
Joan is making all these crazy demands of what to do with Soda Man's money. They're redoing this apartment. She's demanding they take down a load-bearing wall and put in a window.
I noted that. I think Reagan saw this movie, and that's how he said, "Take down that wall." Because she says the same thing.
And put up a window.
Take down that wall. Yeah.
Then he dies.
Yeah. mysteriously.
I thought the way that they edited where all of a sudden he was dead.
He's dead.
I was thinking, are they implying she killed him?
So that's what Christina has alluded to in some interviews, that she
Oh, wow, really?
She thinks there was some
Poison slippage?
No, they found him at the bottom of stairs.
Oh.
So somehow he wound up at the bottom of stairs. She thinks that maybe he was pushed.
I don't know. I mean, that's a bold
It's also,
move.
you could fall down the stairs.
You can fall down the stairs.
You can legitimately fall down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
You could get pushed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know. But it is mysterious.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, there's a weird cut where it's like all of a sudden he's dead.
He's dead.
And she's in the boardroom and they're like, look.
This is great.
He took out a lot of money against the company.
Right.
Because your spending has been outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you're lying to me. You're trying to take advantage of a widow. And they're like, surely we're not.
And she goes, don't fuck with me, fellas.
Yeah. Feminist icon.
Yes. I wonder if this was the first time this line was used, but she says, this is my first time at the rodeo.
I don't know.
I feel like that's the first time I've heard it.
If that wasn't already an expression, what would she have meant by that?
Maybe she was...
Like at the rodeo, they try and screw people over a lot.
Yeah.
They're like, that's not your horse, that's my horse.
Yeah, she might have actually like done a movie at a rodeo or something.
Maybe.
And maybe she knew about it. She knew how rodeos worked.
Yeah.
And then she like threatens, like, I'll say stuff in the press about Pepsi, which I would have loved to see. Like a war with Joan Crawford and Pepsi. This stinks.
I love Coke. Coke is more delicious.
Yeah. And then they caved right then and there.
Yeah,
they didn't even break.
They give her some money.
They were like, hey, we changed our mind.
Yeah.
I speak for everyone here. This whole boardroom.
I think this actually happened before he died, but Christina goes to visit. She goes in to the house. A woman from Red Book, a big magazine, is there to interview her.
Yes. Yeah.
And
she goes, don't embarrass me.
Yeah, she's like, don't embarrass me. And Christina's like, sure, Mom, whatever. The woman from Red Book's like, oh, Christina, I haven't seen you in so long. Like, I saw you when you were a little girl. And Christina's being very polite to her. But Joan is just on her crazy train.
It's one of those days.
Yeah, it's one of those days where just like the littlest thing is setting her off.
Yeah.
They go to have a word with each other in private, away from the magazine lady, which is in the next room where the woman can clearly hear what's going on.
There's no door or
no
anything.
door, no nothing.
It's the next room. Yeah.
But Joan is convinced that Christina is fucking with her, even though she's being extremely polite
Trying
to this magazine
her.
woman. Yeah. And she just starts screaming at her. And finally, Christina can't take it anymore. And she's just like, why did you adopt me? Yeah. And I actually thought this scene was pretty powerful. I felt like Christina was kind of taking on some of Joan's mannerisms in this, which I thought was interesting. And that really sets Joan over the edge.
Yeah.
And she grabs her by the neck, puts her through a table, and starts banging her head against the ground.
Yeah.
Going, ah! And the woman from the magazine just walks in and sees this.
The Red Book journalist has to drag Joan Crawford from, it looks like an attempted murder.
Yes.
Yeah.
She could have killed her for sure doing that.
Yeah. Now, what was the article that Red Book published?
So I was waiting for a scene for the article to come out and it be, you know, Joan tries to murder her daughter in front of me.
Yeah.
But we never hear about the article again. That just disappears.
And did the Red Book person just go like, I can't print this? Or they
Perhaps.
Or
So before Joan attacks Christina, the Red Book woman's like, oh, it's going to be so good. I'm going to write about how you're a woman who can have it all. You've got a family and a career. And you're going to love this angle. And Joan's like, yes.
She goes with a different take. She goes,
yeah,
like,
she had to have gone with a different take, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, so there's been obvious tension between Christina and Joan for a long time. When Christina is out of the convent, living like on her own, trying to pursue acting. Joan comes over to her apartment with like a peace offering. Which
very
is
60s apartment.
Very
There's
60s.
a lot of like psychedelic posters up. Like Christina's living her best life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christina's fucking.
It's swinging 60s. It's happening. Yeah.
Joan gives her this like really intense pearl necklace with a big diamond on it. And Christina accepts it and is like, thank you, mommy. Like, I love you. And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So Christina gets on a soap opera, and Joan is watching it at home with her still living maid. She's in a noticeably shittier home than she used to be in.
Right.
Because she's just not as big of a star as she used to be.
Also noted, the way they put the makeup on the maid, they made her like age 8 times more than Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway looked the same as she did from the beginning of the movie at that point. But they aged her like she was like Rose in Titanic or something.
Yeah, which maybe is a commentary on all the stuff that Joan was having done to herself.
Oh, I didn't even put that together.
Or maybe it was completely unintentional.
I think they were just not paying attention, or they just like, we're trying to show it's like 40 years later or 50 years later, but they decided not to put that same makeup on Faye Dunaway.
Yeah, and by the way, Faye Dunaway is Joan. That's the actress playing Joan.
Faye is Joan. The maid is, it's the same name as Poltergeist. Carol Ann.
Oh, Carol Ann.
Carol Ann. Carol Ann is
Carol
the maid.
Ann. Yeah, so Christina's hit it big, and then Christina has a sudden health scare.
Yes.
She's got like a lot of pain in her uterus area. So she calls her mom instead of going straight to a hospital for some reason. She gets taken to a hospital. It turns out she's got an ovarian cyst, which is something that she's going to be in the hospital for a while, but it's going to be okay. Now, Joan shows up to the hospital and talks with the producer of the soap opera that Christina's on. It's decided that in the time that Christina will be in the hospital, Joan will play Christina's part on the soap opera, even though the character is 28. And at this point, she's how old?
Close to 70.
Close to 70 years old.
And this really happened. I checked. It's on our IMDb.
That's wild
this really
that they
happened.
did that.
Yeah.
This would be like if Tom Hanks decided to like fill in on TikTok for Chet Hanks, and he's talking patois while Chet's sick. That's crazy that they allowed that to happen.
I thought that was very fun.
It's hilarious.
It was fun for Joan to suggest it. It was fun that they allowed it to happen.
And then, of course, she's acting crazy on set. She's like, I can't read the cue cards.
Raise them.
Raise them.
Raise them
You
up.
put them too low. And then we cut to Joan is being given a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But she's sick, so she doesn't go.
Right.
And Christina accepts it for her. And she even like says what dress Christina is supposed to wear.
Yeah.
So Christina follows her example exactly, sings Joan's praises, calls her Mommie Dearest.
Yeah.
When she accepts the award.
Single tear down Joan's face.
You know that was scripted by Joan.
Yeah.
She's like, if I see 2 tears, I'll kill you. 1 tear. Then we cut to Joan suddenly dead.
Yeah.
There's a very strange scene where there's a lot of flowers, but nobody comes to the funeral besides Christina, Christopher, and the maid.
This looked very cheap. It looked like it wasn't at any funeral home.
No.
It looked like just they put up a fake
They
wall.
definitely shot part of this movie on a budget.
Oh, yeah. Which is surprising.
Yeah,
you think they would put a little more money into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Then
creepy
Christopher,
mortician guy shows up.
And he's like, I did it for free for a signed photo of your mother.
I was a big fan.
Yeah.
The mortician's always showing up. That's always the creepiest.
Would anyone do that for a signed photo? That's a high value.
It's a lot, but you know,
you got to take out somebody's insides and fill them with sawdust or something. That's a job I'm not doing for an autograph.
If the camera kept going, he would tell them how he did it too. He would like specify, like, I had to take out the insides.
And then I had sex with her afterwards. I didn't have to, but I kind of did.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah. So it cuts to, they're in the lawyer's office.
Yeah.
Christina and Christopher.
Right. Christopher's back.
Christopher's back.
After an hour.
Yeah, he really hasn't been doing much. And the lawyer's like, so she left you nothing.
Yeah, right.
And Christopher goes, she always had to have the last word. And then Christina goes, did she? Did she? And then it fades out. And Christina had the last word, but it was about Joan.
Right. Meaning the book and this is the last word.
Yes.
On Joan Crawford. Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to write a tell-all.
Yeah. And that'll be
the last word.
Yeah. Which I guess is true because I think people know Joan Crawford for this more than anything.
For being a nutcase.
Yeah. The movie is done in this melodramatic way, but
dramatic things are happening.
Exactly. And I think that they played it true to life.
Yeah, even like her makeup looked like how Joan Crawford would do her makeup.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She
Which
looked
was
very
scary.
much like her. Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
In certain scenes, she's giving Michael Jackson.
Yes. Well, she has like the very powdery face in the wire hanger scene.
Yes, in the wire hanger scene especially, she looks like Michael is here.
Yeah, it looks a little
no
creepy.
No more wire hangers.
Yeah.
What did I say about wire hangers?
And this is a question I have. There's no wire hangers allowed in the house. The girl's like 9 years old.
Yeah,
How'd she get a wire hanger?
Yeah.
Did she see one like outside the house and go, I got to bring this home?
A lot of times you get them from a dry cleaner.
Yes.
And they are shittier and you're supposed to put nicer things not on that so it doesn't fuck up the fabric. But somebody else must have picked up the dry cleaning and just like put it in her closet.
Yeah, I don't think she did
I don't think that she is going. They're not in a small town. It seems like their house is kind of far off
Hollywood or something. Yeah.
So I don't think she's walking to the dry cleaner and picking it up.
No. A kid wouldn't do that.
That definitely wasn't on her.
No. Also, the thing with the wire hangers, I watched an interview with Christina Crawford. The reason why she suspects, because it's never explained, what's the wire hanger thing, because she makes a big deal about it.
Oh, yeah.
Joan Crawford's mother worked at a dry cleaner's.
Interesting.
So it brought up some bad memories.
She was always getting beat with wire hangers, so she's like, now I'm going to beat you with a wire hanger.
Maybe, or maybe she just had a thing about growing up poor and like...
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I like this movie. Again, for how we'll fix it, it could have been way shorter.
Yeah.
It could have been more focused.
Yeah. They could have put some more money behind it. I feel like the sets could have been...
It could have been shot better.
Yeah.
It was shot kind of like, like you said, a made-for-TV movie.
Faye Dunaway's really bringing it, and everything else around her is not up to what she's bringing to the project.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think she got like unfairly maligned for this, but she was really method acting. She was really, trying to...
Well, hopefully she wasn't methoding too hard. Hopefully she wasn't like beating kids and...
Well, let's hope not. Yeah, I don't know. But everything else around her just seems like it's a little, like, not trying to be a prestige kind of project.
I agree with you there. Visually, it would get kind of boring sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that, the steak thing, we could have cut that.
Yeah, the steak scene wasn't that interesting.
No. I could have used more stuff like the Pepsi boardroom where she's just interacting with like studio executives and stuff like that and being demanding. And
I did think it was wild that for a time where a woman could get kicked out of Hollywood for the teeny tiniest infraction, that this woman was able to go in and just be a complete monster and yet stayed in the biz for so long.
Yeah, for a long time, from the 20s through the 60s.
But there are exceptions to every rule. So
yeah.
Was there anything else you would change?
Well, it's interesting because they were trying to make like an Oscar type movie. But then when people had the reaction they had, they remarketed the movie.
Oh, really?
So they made it into more of like a campy
They
kind
were
of
like,
fun
come
thing.
see this movie.
Yeah.
It's bad in a fun way.
Yes, exactly. I think you could either go either or. Like, I wish there was more fun things like the Pepsi Cola or the like breaking down the wall in the stuff, which was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like the abusive scenes where it's like, this is actually traumatic. Either you could have more of the fun scenes or treat the subject of child abuse a little more with care.
More seriously?
Yeah.
I was wondering when Christina realized that her mom was wacky.
Yes. When was the realization?
Yeah. Obviously, that was all that she knew for a long time. And then she goes to boarding school. But at this time, what people considered child abuse was different. Like in my parents' generation, it was normal to hit kids to an extent. I do think she was probably more emotionally abusive than most parents even at that time, and more selfish and more unstable.
Yeah, and I think what she saw was discipline. She was thinking she was disciplining her kids, and she didn't see it as abuse, and now we know it as abuse.
Yes.
I think she also had a rough life. I think she had a lot of trauma growing up, and sometimes people who experience that kind of intense trauma and don't see it as trauma, they could take it out on other people.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. We didn't really see any of that in the movie itself, though. It was alluded to that she grew up poor, but we didn't really hear that she grew up traumatized.
You know, they could have went with a more expanded view of who this person actually was and what kind of life they had. They do a lot of biopics about people who are maybe not so good people, and they'll give you a lot of background about who they are. And we didn't really get that with her.
No. Was there more information in the book itself?
I don't know. Everything I've heard about the book seems to highlight these things that we saw, like the rose garden thing, chopping down the tree in the middle of the night, the wire hangers, the soap opera. Those were like the big moments in the book. I didn't read the book, but I kind of want to.
I kind of want to, too. I'm curious about what Christina's writing style is like.
Yeah, and she's written a few books, and she's still alive. She's like 93.
I was wondering that. Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully she's found some peace.
Yeah, I heard the brother is also doing well.
That's good.
It's all on YouTube. Just YouTubing.
And you know what'll also be on YouTube?
This
episode.
This episode's on YouTube. I can't say enough good things about YouTube. I mean, really. We watched this movie on YouTube.
We did. It's there.
It's there.
If you want to check anything we said, because it was confusing.
Type in Mommie Dearest into YouTube.
Yes.
And just see what pops up.
This movie and maybe some other creepy stuff.
There's probably some other creepy things in there. Yeah.
I think that's pretty much. I think we about covered.
We covered everything.
Mommie Dearest.
Should I check my notes?
Yeah. Do one more notes check.
These are some other moments I loved.
Okay.
The press comes over with the Christmas tree. This is the role I wanted to audition for. If the journalist interviewing them on Christmas, and he goes, and of course you're going to read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas before you go to bed, right?
And they go, oh, yes.
I don't know if that guy thought that was a good question or if he was led to ask that question.
It was certainly a leading question.
It was a leading question, but he was so excited.
It would have been strange if she was like, actually, we're a Scrooge household.
Yeah. She just turns on them. How dare you?
How dare you?
When they're having dinner, Christina as an adult and Joan Crawford, the menus are huge. Did you see that?
I was thinking that too.
The menus were huge.
I didn't bring that up in the official recap, but I was thinking they're at this restaurant. The menus are, okay, for the people who aren't seeing the visual,
they're movie posters.
The menus are half the size that they are.
Yeah.
That the actors are.
They're like poster-sized menus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible.
And she's like, I'm bringing you to a fancy restaurant. And it's literally like a poster board menu.
And then she goes, raw steak for 2. No need for other ordering.
Yes. Steak rare. Christina loves steak. Bloody.
American Film Institute does the 50 greatest villains of all time.
Oh.
Crawford's listed herself, like her as a person. So the list is like Darth Vader, Hannibal Lecter, and Joan Crawford, the human being. So I thought that was interesting.
That's so funny. The character version from this movie, or her just
well,
in life?
I guess they're one in the. Well, it's definitely from this movie.
Right. I
but
mean,
it's
is
listed
still
as
an
her
artistic
name.
interpretation of her.
Yeah, it's just interesting seeing her with those names.
It is funny. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if she's quite on Darth Vader level for me.
I think that's intense.
Yeah.
Actually, Darth Vader might have been a little nicer, right? Because he was a dad too.
He was, but he cut his kid's hand off.
That's rough. That was bad.
That was not a good move.
Yeah, that's abusive.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I read, Dunaway said she was haunted by Joan. What's her name?
Joan Crawford.
Joan Crawford.
She'd wake up in the middle of the night like, hangers.
What are you doing?
Check your closet.
Getting mad at Faye Dunaway for having wire hangers. Yeah. It's almost like there were no other specific details.
Wait, what's the specific detail?
The wire hangers. Like there was no other things, like no laces.
There were no shoes, but another weird thing about the no shoes thing, normally in a shoeless household, you take your shoes off and you leave them by the entrance. He takes his shoes off and carries them with him.
like a normal person.
Throughout the whole house.
I'll be taking my shoes with me. Thank you, wherever I go.
Yeah.
Next time someone tells me to take off my shoes, I'm going to try to put them in my pockets.
Put them on your hand.
Yeah, just like, okay, fair enough. I'm putting them right here. They're not touching the ground.
Wrap them around your neck. But little shoelaces like a necklace.
Yeah. I guess that's it.
Nice.
Love taking notes.
Yeah.
Love it.
The menus were big.
I mean, I saw those menus. I'm like, write it down.
It made me laugh out loud, and I was going to bring it up, and then I forgot about it because it wasn't crucial to the sort of plot.
Yeah.
Again, there wasn't really like a plot in the traditional sense.
Right. It was just a series of things. Oh, chopping down the tree. George Washington coded. Maybe we should
She cannot tell a lie. And she also cannot be a very nice lady.
As the old fable goes.
I must be myself. And that is unhinged.
Well, so I'll say this didn't deserve it. And they also said this was the worst movie of the decade, which
That's
cannot
crazy.
be true. There's no way. This is the 80s.
Yeah.
Some really bad movies came out this year.
They're saying that's worse than the one we watched last time.
How could you even say that? Yeah.
The Village People musical?
Yeah,
that was
bad.
like unwatchable.
That was really bad.
This, I was watching. I was like, I have to watch in installments because it's slow, but I'm watching.
I'd watch it again.
I would too.
This
I probably will.
Yeah.
I probably will. Yeah, her voice is crazy, but in the 40s, actresses talked crazy.
They talked like
and
that, yeah.
She's just doing someone who was trained to talk like that.
Yeah, if you watch any Joan Crawford movie and she has like a scene where she's yelling at somebody, or it sounds exactly the way Faye Dunaway is doing it in the movie.
Yeah, which like is partially why it's hard for me to watch those old-timey movies, because I did watch Mildred Pierce and I did really like it, which is a movie that Joan Crawford is in. And in this movie, she does audition for it. But it's so funny because she's using her actory voice, but she's trying to be like a salt of the earth person.
Right, yeah.
She's like, are you ashamed that I'm just a lowly waitress? That I'm serving pie? Cherry pie. Come get your pie, boys. Is that what you think of your mother? Only that? I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Real people talked like that.
No. And that's
But in that movie, that is how she's talking.
It's so funny that with that movie, if you don't know anything about, like when you watch it, that's a big part of the movie, that it's about pies. And she's getting amped up about it.
so amped up.
Yeah.
She gets so amped up in this movie. When she's practicing for that movie, she slaps the maid who she's talking to.
Right. Yeah.
Inappropriate.
She's a method actress.
She's a method actress.
Method acting's got to go.
Yeah.
I think it's
I think
time for
we
it to
finally
die.
have turned the tide on method actors. Whereas when I was growing up, I remember everyone being like, oh, it's so cool when they just get so into it that they're crazy off screen too.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, because then we got a crazy person walking around hitting people and yelling at people. Like, you should just like know how to act. Acting is like you start and you stop.
Yeah, I think a lot of abusive personalities found method acting and like, oh, this is for me.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
like, yeah.
They're like, I'm an abuser. What if I just play an abuser and then I'll just stay in that forever?
Right.
And it's like, I'm not really that. I'm just playing.
Yeah, exactly. You have a lot of angry dudes playing
Yeah.
angry dude after angry dude after angry dude.
If you're yelling at people in real life, like you're yelling at people in real life.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, tune in next week where we see if the next. So far we have one deserved it, one didn't deserve it.
Right.
Next week, who
Could
knows what can happen?
Could go either way.
See how this podcast can go either way. It's not like we are all mean or all things are bad or all things are good.
We're not biased.
Well, we are because we have our own opinions, but but the opinions can be different.
We're literally biased, but we're. I was trying to spin it.
I was like, where is the sentence going?
We're literally biased, but not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way, in a fun way. Let us know what you think.
Yes.
I almost said Mildred Pierce. Of what movie did we watch?
Mommy Dearest.
Mommie Dearest.
Drop your comments on YouTube.
Or wherever you can type a comment.
Yeah, anywhere.
On the bathroom stall, like
Yeah.
on the sidewalk with chalk.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
All right, bye.